Today we will talk about XLM, XRP, and Axelar, which is a network concentrating on cross-chain interoperability. Stellar has been working with them a lot and has recently talked about how it provides institutional interoperability with their involvement in Project Guardian with Deutsche Bank and the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And it's also extremely important to point out how Axelar's infrastructure includes a lot of Stellar infrastructure, specifically around smart contracts. Here is an overview of Project Guardian put out by the XX account, and I won't get into that in today's content. I have a much more involved video to explain all of that, which also includes Stronghold. Ripple and Axelar have been working together as a part of a strategic pivot into tokenizing real-world assets. The shift will drive innovation, particularly in DeFi, and could help lead to a more interconnected and accessible DLT ecosystem. And a lot of that involves smart contracts again. And with XLS 38, which is the sidechain amendment including EVM compatibility, it begins to tie it together even more. Axelar can also be used to bridge other fungible tokens to and from the XRPL, as well as some over 55 other chains. And I think the count is up to 69 now. Here is a graphical illustration of how Axelar would serve as a bridge here, and the EVM sidechain would use XRP as a gas token, which is a wrap version of XRP. Axelar recently presented at Stellar's Meridian 2024, speaking about cross-chain communication. And the speaker here explains certain things in the exact same way as what I was talking about in regards to Hyperledger Cacti and Besu connecting into Stellar to provide cross-network interoperability.
And to essentially eliminate all those silos and all those blockchains that are disconnected from each other, and instead build this one big interconnected network. Because we believe very strongly that this is what Web3 actually needs. It needs to stop being many disconnected things, and it needs to become an actual World Wide Web.
Here is a video from Axelar explaining what it is and a little on how it works.
We believe that Web3 is the future. Axelar is developing the core infrastructure and tooling necessary for developers to innovate with blockchain technology and provide their end users with amazing application experiences. We achieve this by addressing the fragmentation and painful user experiences for developers and end users in today's blockchain ecosystems. Here's how. Axelar is the universal overlay network, securely connecting all blockchain ecosystems, applications, assets, and users, enabling developers to build on the best blockchain for their particular use case. The overlay network supports asset transfer, composability of applications, and generalized message passing across any blockchain ecosystem through protocols and APIs. This means developers can build their applications on one blockchain and allow their users to interact with assets, users, and dApps on any other blockchain. So what's in this stack? At its core, Axelar is a decentralized network run by a permissionless set of validators that power cross-chain interoperability requests. Designed to achieve universal interoperability, the network is blockchain agnostic, supporting diverse approaches to consensus. With only a few lines of code, protocol developers can add arbitrary chains to the network through the permissionless validators. On top of the network sit Axelar relay services and the Axelar SDK. The SDK allows easy access to the network and composability across the unified network of blockchains through a collection of application layer protocols and APIs. Application developers use the SDK to efficiently connect their applications, enabling greater distribution across all chains, cross-chain composability with other apps, and greater liquidity. Here are some examples. Users can swap their ETH for Atom through a decentralized exchange directly from their wallet. Users have the convenience and ability to transact from a single universal wallet instead of needing one for every network or type of asset they want to use. NFTs purchased on one chain become portable, traveling with owners as they interact across different chains. By connecting all isolated ecosystems through a unified network and providing developers with the tools they need, Axelar enables innovation, unlocks new possibilities, and grows this global decentralized economy that will empower users no matter where they are on their journeys through Web3. Axelar powers the cross-chain future.
Here is a deeper technical explanation where it explains the Axelar transaction, tech stack, how it can interconnect with the XRPL as an example. I will concentrate on Stellar and Axelar and even Stronghold in a video here soon, but there has been a lot of talk about the tokenization of real-world assets on XRP.
So with Axelar, this is something that we've been working on for the last 3 years. Axelar today, as I mentioned, connects to 60 plus blockchains, all the major EVM chains, L2s, as well as Cosmos IBC chains. And what we're doing with Ripple is something that's incredibly exciting. We're going to be connecting both XRPL as well as the new EVM sidechain so that they have full interoperability to all of the existing chains on the Axelar network. So now imagine a world where you can bridge any asset from these EVM and Cosmos chain to XRPL and the other way back. The XRP can now be available on any of these chains, as well as the tokenized assets, RWAs, that the Ripple team has been busy building. But this is just the beginning.
Here is David Schwartz explaining how interoperability is crucial for the XRPL.
As far as the XRP Ledger vision, we need interoperability. Interoperability is going to be it's going to be what allows us to have customers. It's going to allow us to have an audience that we can market products to.
So our goal is to make XRPL one of the primary hubs for issuing and trading real-world assets. Starting with stable coins and moving into tokenized treasuries as well. And so I think that you guys really have the reputation that's needed in order to bring on some of these TradFi institutions into the space.
Our vision is that we can make XRPL the leading hub for real-world assets and stablecoin, given Ripple's unique advantages with the regulatory clarity and all of the relationships that it's built with financial institutions and enterprises over the years.
Between the combination of the two DEX systems to support any liquidity environment, the influx of new assets through Orchestra, we're really setting the stage to become somewhat of a liquidity hub or a central DEX across all of crypto.
So that's really our vision and our hope as we start to partner up with different interoperability players to really make the XRP Ledger a hub for value.
And in the real-world application of a financial technology provider in the payments space or in the tokenization space, and especially because Ripple is a private for-profit company, a lot of these private institutional networks will not be constructed on top of the XRPL. So in reality, the future of adoption is all about interoperability.
The one thing I'm most excited about happening on XRPL is finally opening up DeFi opportunities for for XRP. Right? Again, it's the biggest asset with one of the biggest communities that doesn't have DeFi, right? And being able to use this asset productively in DeFi, I think is going to be a big thing. And then XRPL, Ripple obviously has a very unique edge when it comes to RWAs. And with Axelar, we're working with most of the RWA issuers as well. So it's not something I think we've done a deep dive yet with your team, but it's something we're prioritizing now and just bringing new RWAs over to XRPL. And I think you guys have a big edge there, and we can make it probably the biggest chain, right, for RWA adoption. So I think there's some interesting directions there.
The Axelar white paper is only 15 pages, but for the purposes of highlighting its interoperability opportunities with Ripple and Stellar in particular, I have combined the white papers of Axelar, the Ripple consensus white paper, and the Stellar consensus protocol paper in order to summarily explain not only how Axelar actually operates, but to concentrate on its integration with Ripple and Stellar.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at blockchain interoperability.
That's right, we are.
We're going to be talking about Axelar.
Yeah.
And how Axelar can potentially connect different blockchain ecosystems like Stellar and Ripple.
Right.
Our sources for this deep dive will be the Axelar white paper and the Stellar Consensus Protocol white paper.
Okay.
So to kick things off, maybe you can give us like a quick overview of what Axelar is and like what its main goal is.
Yeah, sure. So Axelar, it's a decentralized network and protocol suite that's designed to connect all these different blockchain ecosystems. So it enables them to communicate and transfer assets seamlessly. So the goal is to basically be like this universal bridge that allows blockchains with different structures and languages, like you mentioned, Stellar and Ripple, but even like Bitcoin and Ethereum, to interact as if they were a part of a single unified network.
Okay, that's super interesting. So it sounds like Axelar is kind of tackling this like huge challenge of getting all these different blockchains to kind of talk to each other.
Exactly, yeah.
But how do they actually do that? Like, does every blockchain need to like completely revamp its system to like join the Axelar network?
Well, that's the interesting thing. No, they don't. One of Axelar's big advantages is this kind of plug and play design. Blockchains don't need a complete overhaul. Instead, they just set up what's called a threshold account to connect with the Axelar network.
A threshold account, what is that?
So basically, it's like a special doorway on a blockchain that leads into the Axelar network.
Okay.
To open this doorway, you need multiple keys held by different parties.
Okay.
This ensures security, and it prevents any single entity from controlling the connection.
So it's kind of like a multi-signature.
Exactly. Yeah, you can think of it like that.
Okay, cool. So a blockchain sets up this threshold account, and then it's like plugged into the Axelar network.
Right.
Then what? Like, how do they start talking and transferring assets across chains?
Okay, so this is where Axelar's tech stack comes in.
Okay.
It's pretty clever. So first you have this decentralized network of validators. These validators, they run nodes, they secure the Axelar blockchain, and they all have to reach consensus on the state of all the connected blockchains.
So those are like the guardians of the network.
Yeah, exactly. You can think of them like that. They ensure everything runs smoothly.
Okay, got it.
And then you have two more important pieces. You have the cross-chain gateway protocol, which is called the CGP.
Okay.
And then you have the cross-chain transfer protocol, which is called CTP.
Okay.
So the CGP, it's basically like a global blockchain GPS. It figures out how to route transactions and find addresses across all these different blockchains.
So if I want to send some Stellar lumens to a Ripple address,
Right.
the CGP is making sure it gets to the right place.
Exactly, yeah. It ensures that the transaction goes through smoothly, even though Stellar and Ripple have completely different structures.
Okay, that makes sense. And then what about CTP?
So the CTP is more on the developer side of things. It makes it super easy for developers to build applications that can interact with different blockchains. So it lets applications on different blockchains talk to each other using simple API calls. It's basically like a universal language that they can all understand.
Got it. So it's kind of like this.
Yeah.
We have blockchain platforms joining Axelar using their threshold account.
Right.
Then you have CGP acting as the GPS, guiding those transactions.
Yeah.
And then you have the CTP, which helps developers build all these cool cross-chain apps.
Exactly, yeah. That's a good summary of it.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I think I'm following so far.
And then just to add one more interesting detail, Axelar also uses threshold cryptography.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is this really fascinating concept. It enables secure key management and transaction signing across that entire network of validators.
So it adds like another layer of security on top of everything.
Exactly, yeah. You can think of it like that.
Awesome. So we have a secure network, we have this GPS for transactions,
Right,
and a universal language for apps.
right.
I'm definitely starting to see the potential here. But what does this all mean for the specific blockchains we're interested in? Stellar and Ripple.
Yeah.
I guess that's what we're going to get into next.
Yeah, exactly. Let's dive into that. Welcome back. So we've talked about Axelar and its goal of connecting all these different blockchains.
Yeah. I'm ready to dig a bit deeper into Stellar now.
Okay, cool.
So Stellar is all about speed and low costs, right? Making finance accessible to everyone.
Exactly. Stellar was designed with a global vision in mind from the very beginning.
Okay, cool. So how does its consensus protocol, the way it verifies transactions, how does that play into all that?
So Stellar uses something called the Federated Byzantine Agreement. It's also known as FDA.
FBA.
Yeah, it sounds a little complicated, but basically it means that Stellar's network can reach an agreement on transactions even if some of the participants aren't completely reliable.
So even with some like bad actors in the mix, Stellar can still function properly?
Yeah, exactly. That's super important for a network that aims to be global and inclusive.
That makes sense.
And Stellar actually takes this concept even further with something called quorum slices. So each participant in the network gets to choose who they trust.
Okay.
And this forms these slices that help determine the overall consensus.
Interesting. So it's like a decentralized system of trust where everyone has a say, but it's still designed to be secure.
Right, exactly. It's this elegant approach that allows the network to grow organically and remain open and accessible.
Cool. Okay, so I'm following you so far.
Yeah.
But could you maybe walk me through like how this FBA actually works?
Yeah.
Like in practice, how does the network reach an agreement?
So it's actually a two-step process. The first step is participants vote on whether a transaction is valid or not.
Okay.
If enough of the votes are in favor of the transaction, then it moves on to the second step.
Got it. And what's the second step?
The second step is confirmation. So the participants basically vote again.
Okay.
But this time they're confirming that the first vote was successful and that they all agree on the transaction's validity. It's like a double check system.
So it's like a system of checks and balances, but for blockchains.
You got it. That's a good way to put it. And this whole two-step process, it helps prevent conflicts, and it ensures that everyone is on the same page about the state of the network.
Got it. So what happens if they can't reach an agreement? Like what if a transaction gets stuck because they can't come to a consensus?
That's a good question. So Stellar has a solution for that.
Okay.
It's called neutralization.
Neutralization.
Yeah. The protocol is designed to handle those situations. So it involves crafting transactions in a way that allows them to be superseded by newer transactions if they ever get stuck.
So it's like having an escape route to avoid getting bogged down in those disagreements.
Right, exactly. Stellar's protocol is all about progress, even when there are bumps in the road. It ensures the network keeps moving forward.
Okay, I see. So it's really quite a sophisticated system.
Yeah, it is.
I think I'm starting to understand how elegant Stellar's consensus protocol really is. It's robust and flexible, and it's designed to handle the complexities of a global decentralized network.
Exactly. And it does all this while being really fast and affordable.
Right. I read that Stellar can process like thousands of transactions per second.
Yeah, that's right.
With very low fees.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons Stellar is considered a leader in global payments and financial inclusion.
Okay. So let's bring it back to Axelar.
Right.
How does Stellar's consensus protocol help enable interoperability with other blockchains?
Okay, so remember those threshold accounts?
Yeah, those secure doorways into Axelar.
Yeah, exactly. They're absolutely crucial for connecting Stellar to other blockchains.
Okay.
And because Stellar's consensus protocol is so secure and reliable, it actually strengthens the trustworthiness of those connections.
It's like having a super strong foundation built on Stellar that makes it even safer to build these bridges to other blockchains.
Exactly. Stellar's protocol provides this bedrock of trust and reliability.
Yeah.
That's essential for smooth and secure interoperability.
This is all really starting to make sense. We have Axelar building the bridges,
Right.
Stellar providing this secure base.
Yeah.
And together, they're paving the way for this connected financial system where other blockchains like Ripple can join in.
Exactly. And speaking of Ripple, it offers a unique perspective to this interconnected future. Maybe we can shift our focus to Ripple now.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we've explored Axelar's vision of connecting all these different blockchains and how Stellar can play a big role in all that.
Right. Now we can dive into Ripple.
Yeah, let's talk about Ripple.
Okay.
So Ripple kind of stands out in the crypto world because it seems to focus more on like working with financial institutions and these large-scale payments.
Yeah, that's right. Ripple has always had this focus on the more traditional financial world. They've really been trying to bridge that gap between traditional finance and blockchain technology.
Okay. And I've also heard that Ripple's consensus protocol is quite different from Bitcoin or Stellar.
Yeah, that's true. So unlike Bitcoin, which uses proof of work, or Stellar, which uses that federated Byzantine agreement we talked about, Ripple uses a unique consensus algorithm that relies on a pre-selected network of validators.
So it's not like anyone can join the network and help validate transactions. It's more like a closed group.
Well, it's not completely closed, but yeah, it is more controlled. These validators, they have to be trusted by Ripple Labs, and they're the ones responsible for reaching an agreement on the validity of transactions.
Okay, so it's a different approach. It sounds like Ripple prioritizes speed and efficiency over having a fully open and decentralized network like Bitcoin or Stellar.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Their consensus mechanism is designed to handle large volumes of transactions quickly, which aligns with their goal of facilitating those large-scale payments.
Got it. So how does this unique approach affect Ripple's ability to work with other blockchains through something like Axelar?
Well, that's one of the great things about Axelar. It's designed to be blockchain agnostic, meaning it can connect blockchains with all sorts of different architectures and consensus models,
Okay.
even ones like Ripple. It can act as a bridge that lets Ripple interact with these more decentralized blockchains like Stellar.
So even though Ripple does things differently, Axelar can still enable that seamless communication and transfer of assets.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole point of Axelar. It's all about interoperability. It wants to create a system where any blockchain can connect and interact with any other blockchain.
It's like a universal translator for blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. Axelar wants to break down those language barriers and let all these different blockchains understand each other and work together.
This is awesome. I'm really glad we were able to cover all of this.
Me too, yeah. It's been a great discussion.
We started with the basics of blockchain interoperability.
Yeah.
We talked about how Axelar wants to be this universal bridge. And then we dug into the specifics of Stellar and Ripple.
Right, and how they each bring something unique to this vision of a multi-chain future. I think the main takeaway here is that the future of blockchain is about collaboration and connection.
Yeah, I totally agree. Axelar, Stellar, Ripple. It's not about picking winners and losers. It's about finding ways to make all these different technologies work together to create something that's bigger and better than any one platform could achieve on its own.
Right. And I think for our listeners, the big question is, what does this mean for you? How will this interconnected future impact the way you interact with money and digital assets? It's a fascinating time to be following all of this, and I encourage everyone to keep learning and exploring.
Yeah, and to think about the possibilities. What could a world where all these blockchains seamlessly connect and work together look like? What kind of new applications and innovations could emerge? It's really exciting to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
See you to you.